maybe the manifesting variables that and then enforces, or maybe that keeps employees happy, and its outcome variables, moderators, etc., etc., you have identified. Now sub discipline you are identifying here is that you just wanted to have a study under the head of the employee happiness, maybe related to any of the themes, like employee happiness in context of tourism industry. You believe that this has not been studied, although employee happiness as a definition is not being coined by the researchers. Some you find out that this employee happiness has been used as a subjective well-being, maybe life satisfaction. This is how that people have already used it, and it actually has not been given a single identification to this keyword as well, employee happiness, right? So this is how that you have identified your sub discipline under this head. थर्ड थिंग आपको क्या करना, लिटरेचर पढ़ना पड़ेगा, देन 25 पेपर्स को आप डीपली स्टडी करिए या रिलेटेड टू योर सब डिसिप्लिन पेपर स्टडी कीजिए. You need to immerse with the papers. You see that how and where it is taking to you. Accordingly, propose themes and self-evaluation and ranking. Now, let you know, we'll be sharing one Excel sheet again with you. You see here, this is something that I have done it, right? Means again, this is another part of it. I was taking example of employee happiness, but I am telling this thing differently to you. I have found one paper. This paper is actually, isme kya kiya, I have, first of all, I have identified the area in which the study was conducted. So first of all, this was the ground level that I have worked upon, and then little going down at it, right? I found that these sub themes, the name of sub themes which have been given. So if you see financial well-being, repeated consumption, sustainable consumption, anti-consumption, consumerism, so all these consumer or consumption related things have been placed in the consumption head. So this name I have actually given. Similarly, financial well-being is related to the pecuniary well-being. Purchase related online and offline or impulse buying. So in that way, this is the first step that I have followed after selecting the journals. In the second step, I have given the name as sub themes, where I have seen that okay, the paper on which area the work has been done, जिसको कहेंगे हम propose theme. Now, after proposing the themes, you can give ranks to these themes 1, 2, 3, 4 based on कितने पे कितना काम हुआ है, or maybe on which area you wanted to work upon. Like financial well-being पे काम बहुत कम हुआ है, consumption पे little bit work has been done, like sustainable consumption पे you would see that how much work has been done over there. Similarly, you see physical health, experiential, psychological health, etc., etc. Now you need to rank these themes, and then you can start working accordingly. Step one is your interest area, what we have identified, broad area, which is called as employee happiness. Second is we need to identify sub disciplines. मैं इसको थोड़ा quickly लेके जा रहा हूँ because our topic is to write manuscript. First of all, ये follow करने के बाद, then we will be having final topic selection. Suppose working upon employee happiness, this is what I just wanted to study it, and what this exercise has helped me out to go for systematic literature review, which has not been conducted. Means the studies related to the employee happiness has never been studied related to employee happiness. So systematic literature review, this is one of the study that I wanted to pursue, or maybe I wanted to measure or understand the manifesting plus the consequences variables of employee happiness. Now these are the two areas that I have identified and I think upon to work upon. This is what I have realized. Now the moment the topic is finalized, now here comes how we should approach as far as our research paper writing is concerned. The moment your area or the type of research is finalized, like if you look at my first slide, the area is employee happiness, determinants of employee happiness, or maybe employee happiness as a SLR. Now I need to actually reckon the things that where I just wanted to take this employee happiness as a research study, whether it is experimental, whether it is qualitative, or whether it is quantitative. And if it is I am measuring the determinants, then it is going to be the quantitative. Now we need to work upon our manuscript accordingly. Topic decided, types of research has also been decided. Now the next task comes, which is called as selection of journal. Yes, I hope many of you would disagree with me कि पहले कैसे journal select कर ले, and if अगर आपको इस तरह के doubts आएंगे, please encounter and we can have a healthy discussion over it. I won't mind it. But the moment your area is being finalized, that you wanted to conduct a SLR, or you wanted to check the manifesting variable, now my job is to go and select the journal. Oh, suppose you have you have decided your topic and you wanted to select a journal. How to select it? First of all, how to select it will I'll come later on. But selection of journal and बहुत इसका छोटा सा flavor अभी हम test करते हैं. I totally agree with Swati that once your manuscript is decided, you need to select the journal. This should be the first task before you would proceed for writing your research paper. So suppose I have selected a journal called as ABC Journal, and I need to first check the scope and aim of the journal. And this is important for us to see aim and scope of the journal. And if it matches, if it has, you find that this journal is appropriate and is publishing same kind of papers in this particular area, you would select it. This is first step, and then I'll come these later. Now the second, the moment you have decided your journal, now you need to work upon your manuscript. More importantly, before writing papers, I would also request you to see that इनका format क्या है, whether they are taking structured abstract or unstructured abstract, keywords कितने हैं, which kind of language उन्होंने मांगा है, US का follow कर रहे हैं, British follow कर रहे हैं, UK का कर रहे हैं, then what are the heads that they are taking into consideration. Fine. So the moment you decided your journal and format guidelines पढ़ लिया, सबसे पहले पेपर लिखने से पहले guidelines पढ़ लिए, then you would start writing your research papers. First one is I would be coming up with the introduction. Fine. I would be coming with the introduction. Now this says that हमें जो हमेशा जो अपनी introduction है, that or most of the cases should be divided into 4 steps. One is the topic area, which is your which we can call it as the employee happiness. So in this case, we have to first of all provide the world level view about employee happiness. Organizations में world level पे कैसे हो रहा है. Then we are sitting in India, we need to narrow it down to an Indian context too. So first of all, you should start with mentioning the broader perspective that organizations are stressing upon employee happiness, and the worldwide they have spent around these many dollars, or they have spent around these companies, and they have reaped the benefits too. Wanted to tell you one more thing. Whenever you would be mentioning, try to substantiate your thoughts with the help of the data. Percentage, maybe the investments, maybe the how many people have just got the benefits after they've been decided as the happy employees or declared as happy employees. And the moment you are done with the Indian context, then you have to follow the second step, which is called as statement of the problem. Statement of the problem में क्या है? Suppose आपने क्या क्या mention किया, आप Indian context, you're done with the Indian context. Indian context में employee happiness ऐसा चल रहा है. Then in the third head, what you have to do is that now you should understand what you're trying to do. So you are somewhere around trying to identifying the manifesting variable of employee happiness. So here, whatever the variables you have identified, you need to substantiate one by one, like salary. This is one of thing. Like psychological health of employees, like physical quality of work life, and moreover the career progression. Fine. And this is what you have identified based on the analysis that you have done previously. So the salary, the compensation, the psychological quality of work life, 4 factors, these are contributing towards employee happiness. And once you're done with the till Indian context, now you should start that many research studies have proved the area, proved the determinants, or may not उन्होंने नहीं भी किया होगा, तो you should tell that by substantiating or by substantiating with the earlier studies that कि ये areas हैं on which the study is still the research study is still untapped, and if we would work it, then it would have a novel contribution, which is called as the third step. So your research gaps would be the part of your statement of the problem right here. And in the fourth steps, talking about the further steps, where you can mention, or I would say instead of mentioning research objectives, you can mention your research questions, presenting the research gaps or statement of the problem in the introduction. So introduction को इस तरह से डिजाइन करिए कि आपका जो स्टेट गैप है और एक इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ द टॉपिक जहां पे जाएगा, गैप्स आएंगे, एंड देन रिसर्च क्वेश्चन विल आल्सो बी देयर along with the novelty of your paper. And once it is, अगर आप इस तरह से काम करते हैं, then half of the chances of getting rejected means, जिसको हम desk rejections कहते हैं, रिव्यू सेंड करने से पहले जब उसको रिजेक्ट कर दिया जाता है उसको desk reject कहते हैं. तो ये दो पैरामीटर पे होता है. One is your title and abstract, and if it is sound for editor, then he would have a read of your introduction, and if it is okay, then it will go for review, and if it is not, then it will be rejected, straight away rejected. Would be receiving very disappointing mail that your paper is not fitted in our journal, so you should try another journal too. So this is what it happens. So that is why it happens. So right now, coming to the literature review, this is something that I would ask you to be very, very cautious. Suppose what I have discussed, one is salary, career progression, quality of work life. I'm taking only these three, leads to employee happiness. So we know that this is what we wanted to work upon, and इसके लिए क्या है कि related to the variables, you need to provide a theoretical background to it. Suppose you can start with the employee happiness, how it all started and when it all started. I hope you would agree with me, when the industrialization hua to people were treated like machines, and there no one is taking care of their employees, and they were treated as a means of production. And slowly and gradually, the welfare officers, safety officers, then personal management, human resource management, and now strategic HR. I'm talking about now we are taking care of our employees, employee happiness. We are seeking their happiness. We wanted to keep our employees happy. It all started. You need to provide a background to it. And if is there any theory base, अगर आपने कोई theoretical base लिया है, तो उसको आप यहाँ पे present कर सकते हैं. Is hypothesis is something I have written. Sometimes hypothesis development head can also be there, or I have written it as a hypothesis, means SES. There are more than one hypothesis, and if there is only one hypothesis, I can write it as HSIS. When you develop hypothesis, you should actually provide at least 2 to 3 lines supporting your argument that salary leads to employee happiness with recent citations. If you are sitting in 2024 की studies हमेशा वहां पे होनी चाहिए as far as your hypothesis development is concerned. And in each and every hypothesis, recent studies should be there. Higher end journals, FT journals की बात करें या हम बात करें A-star, A category journals ki, they are very, very, very particular about the in-text citations, even though they are very concerned with and ampersand and. So when you are, once you have gone through the journals guidelines and they have said that you should be consistent, so that means you should be consistent, like B and A. So if you are using it in a bracket A and D, so you should be consistent to this format, or else you are using B and A, then you should also be consistent to D. So you follow any one of these and you should be consistent as far as this thing is concerned. So I would request you to, for this, you may refer APA, American Psychological Association, referencing guidelines that will guide you ki ampersand and or and kahan pe use hota hai. Now coming to the point called as research methodology or methods, where this has also been divided into 4 heads. Measurement, like when we talk about the moment you're done with the literature review sections, and hypothesis, remember, only mention alternate hypothesis. I have never ever mentioned null hypothesis in my research studies. I have only mentioned the alternate hypothesis. And again, this will also be answerable when you would have done the homework, like selecting the journals, identifying the themes, and then identifying the sub disciplines. वहां पे जब आप पेपर पढ़ोगे, then you would see that कि उन पेपर्स में किस तरह के hypothesis को present किया गया है. Like again, I'm writing it as a salary. Second is quality of work life, and third one is career progression. This is somewhere leading to employee happiness. In that way, you have three variables, and this variable would कहाँ से आपने क्या इसकी measurement items रहे हैं. Items would mean the questions, the ultimately questions or the statements you have taken into consideration while collecting the responses from the respondent. So here in research methodology, you should mention number of items and from where you have picked up these items. So unki citation will also be, should also be there. Number of items and their citations too. So salary, for example, if salary is having 5 items, so you may write at a 5 items and table आप end में दिखा सकते हैं, then citation is also required here. Third thing is sampling. आपने what is your sampling type of sampling, like probability, non-probability? Somewhere around you have collected the data where you do not know the respondents and it is taking time. Then you approach the snowball sampling approach. And if you are opting any of the sampling, there is no questions in it, as long as you are not backing up your sampling method. So in this ways, जब भी आप sampling ले तो उसका reason दें why you have opted it. Why? And talking about your PhD, right? You should always be answerable whatever the sample size you have collected. Suppose the sample size you have collected around 500 and calculated is 480. So the question comes, if calculated is 480, why did you go for 500? This is from the PhD perspective. But when for the research papers perspective, reviewers 99% they do not ask why the sample size, but at least you should talk about your sample size and your what we call it as the pilot study too. You always mention these two things while writing your sample size. And now data collection method talks about whether you approached using online or offline. You should also mention, like, if you have approached using online, talk about it, right? कि कौन से sections में you have segregated your entire questionnaires. Demographics questionnaire क्या थे, main questions कितने थे, how many sections you have and divided your entire questions, how on an average how much time it has taken to fill up your one questionnaire from the respondents. Find what challenges you encountered at that point of time. You may need to mention over in your research. Talking about analysis, yes, analysis की बात करेंगे तो first of all you need to talk
Sir, I have a question in previous slide.
Okay.
Sir, you were talking about the number of items and in text citation, right? So
Yes.
if we have taken the
Your voice
items
is
from
actually echoing.
my question was that the number of items that we will mention in the research paper or thesis. So I have taken the item from different research paper. Do we need to
Fine.
still, even if we modify the same item, do we still need to reference them or no? It is not required after modification.
After modification,
Yes.
definitely you need to mention. Yes, if you are doing slightly modification in your paper related to the items, you need to mention the base items from where you have modified the items. Fine. And in order to substantiate your point, why did you modify it, kindly refer more studies, like these studies have also modified and taken the liberty of it. So that is why in my study I have also modified it. So आप इसको क्या कर सकते हैं, Hasifa, you need, if you need wanted to if you have done it right, you kindly share your questionnaire for its face validity. You may share with the industry expert and may share to the expert in your respective field. Fine. So that after that you can mention it by just backing up some of these points. Talking about the data analytical techniques, yes, we have talked about regression, we have talked about smart PLS early morning. But if I talking about data analytical, no matter कौन सी technique आप ले रहे हैं, suppose it is PLS SEM, or whether it is multiple regression. For example, if you are using PLS SEM, whenever we are applying, anyone can ask you, why did you apply multiple? Why did you mention PLS SEM? Or you may ask me, sir, आप PLS SEM की बात क्यों कर रहे हैं? There is PLS CB SEM 2, CB SEM. Whenever you are applying any of the technique, you should mention that what is it, इसका meaning आपने बताना है, and then you need to cite some studies mentioning that in the recent studies in 2024 this study got popularity in my area, whatever is your respective area, and that is why this technique is being considered as appropriate when the ABC analysis is concerned. And this technique was run in which version, that you also need to mention. कौन सा version आपने apply किया हुआ? Now coming to the measurement model, this is divided into two things. One is reliability, if your paper is empirical in nature, reliability and validity. So we know that the Cronbach alpha, then we composite reliability, validity mein we talk about the convergent validity, we talk about the discriminant validity, etc. Means before doing the actual analysis, क्या रिलायबिलिटी और वैलिडिटी है जो आपने मेजर्स को उनको मीट किया है नहीं किया है, assumptions को मीट किया नहीं किया है. Fine. So if your assumptions are met, then you can go for the structural analysis. And what do we mean by structural analysis? Like this is a variable A, this is variable B, and this is variable C. These are independent variables, this is dependent variable. And A is leading to B, C, and B is also leading to C. Now the relationship between these two is called as, ये जो hypothesis आपने करे हैं इनको कहेंगे हम structural model. अब ये जो इस तरह की items थी, how much they are contributing towards the respective construct, to measure it, it is called as reliability and validity. That will be the part of the measurement model. It is a broader one. And to present the tested hypothesis will be the part of the structural model. Okay. Now coming to the discussion and conclusion. So it is important whenever suppose you have A independent variable, B and C. This is not significant, this is significant. This is the result that you have got right. And in order to, you would mention in your result section, discussion and conclusion section, the aim of the study is this, aim of the study was this and that, where we have, in order to achieve the objective of the study, following hypotheses were proposed. And in order to test these hypotheses, we have applied certain techniques, and what we concluded that ki A hypothesis leading to C was not significant. Now it is important, what I'm trying to tell you is that be cautious about it. A2 leading C is insignificant, and hence this study is supporting the previous result. This is one thing. Or you can also say that this result, the result of the present study is opposing the result of the earlier studies. कि जो previous study ने कहा है हमारे इस context में, उनका तो accept हुआ है, मगर हमारा तो accept हुआ नहीं है. So in that case, you may say that oppose कर रहा है result को with citations. And if it is citations are not there, then you can develop your logical argument to it. You need to, whatever the results would come, you need to support with the earlier studies, and you need to substantiate and explain with the with context to your studies too. And then conclude your study कि ये objective था, ये हमने किया. This is how we have approached the audience. And in some, the hypothesis, one accepted, one rejected, and it indicates that whatever the context of the study of your is. Medications. Nowadays, this has been a very, very critical as far as any paper is concerned. I have written one paper where I have mentioned theoretical implications. So, आगे की what have you contributed as far as theory is concerned? Like you would say that one hypothesis is accepted, this is your theoretical contribution. One hypothesis has been rejected, this again is your contribution. So you would say that this model salary perceived career progression जो है वो employee happiness को lead कर रहा है. And this is the theoretical conclusion. Talking about managerial contribution, for that, I would request you to actually, first of all, have a look at the magazines in your respective field, or maybe news, or maybe any organization. Suppose career progression is leading to employee happiness. And in Starbucks, hypothetical example दे रहा हूँ, Starbucks ने क्या किया कि they have provided training and development facilities and promoted their employees under the head of the career progression. And if this has happened so, now you will substantiate that हमारी study जो present कर रही है कि career progression is leading to employee happiness. And although the owner of Starbucks or the leader of the Starbucks has also has also found that, or concluded, or also found that providing career employment opportunities, career progression opportunities to their employees keeps them happy and ultimately increases the productivity of the employees. In this way, the managerial implications of our study contributes a lot as far as the overall implications are concerned. And third one is especially ये आपका आएगा उस context में when we will be talking about the societal issues, जैसे कि talking about the sustainable consumption behavior. So in that way, what would be the policy implications? This will be directly directing towards the government or maybe some other respective organizations.